here's where I really disagree with harm reduction. I don't disagree with it for the most part. But when they remove abstinence as one of the possibilities of choices, they've removed patient autonomy. My job as a physician is to lay out all the possibilities, and then we decide which one's going to work for you.
Here's one of the magic things in treating people is spelled T-I-M-E, time. If you just go somewhere for 30 days, 45 days, even 60 days, and that's all you do, you don't have support to integrate back into work. You don't have support to integrate back into your family systems. You don't have support to integrate back into the community. Statistically, we know the longer you stay in treatment for, the higher your success rate is. The closer we can get you to that year mark, the higher your success rate is going to be to maintain long-term recovery.
Welcome to We Do Recover with Jared Miller. This is episode number 172. I'm Dr. Terry Sellers, the co-host. We have our host who's always here.
Jared Miller.
Yeah, Jared Miller, apparently.
Yeah. It's good to be here.
Jared, what do you do for a living?
Right now, I do community outreach. I'm also a licensed substance abuse counselor, Yeah, a little bit of everything.
I like it. Who are you working for these days?
Wasatch Crest.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah. I just wanted to mention it. I know we'll mention it in our sponsorship mentions.
You're the one with the heavy credentials.
I got nothing.
You got the big MD behind the name.
Bucket full of nothing's what I got. I'm Dr. Terry Sellers, board certified addiction medicine physician. I currently am working at Pathways and doing a couple of little tiny side gigs as well. And then I play golf in my spare time. And then every once in a while I show up at home and my wife says, "How come you play so much golf?" So there's that. But anyway.
Speaking of that, we got a tea time tomorrow, 9 a.m.
Thanks. That's lovely.
Yeah, Southgate.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, buddy.
I played really well today.
Did you?
Yeah, hit the ball really well. I didn't score all that well, but I hit it great. So
I love it.
That's always fun. Well, let's give us some sponsors. Tell us about our sponsors. This podcast is made available to us through the generous help of our sponsors. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't be able to afford it because we don't make any money off of it really, but there's some costs associated with it. So tell us who helps defray those costs, Jared Miller.
Thank you. I love our sponsors. I love that we have a personal relationship with each one of them.
Sure.
Team Recovery. Team Recovery builds custom apps for all types of treatment providers. The app helps with referrals, admissions, client retention, and tracks outcomes post-treatment. Learn more at recovery.io or call them at 866-824-2281.
It's a cool app. If you own a treatment center, give these guys a look because it's an app that really helps you kind of keep your alumni in touch with you and you in touch with them. So
yeah, I think, and we've talked about this, a really good program has a good culture, and the culture is driven from the alumni. Right. And so the app really just helps the alumni have a place where they can, not just the alumni, it's for clients too, but specifically alumni can stay connected to the treatment center on sober softball, sober campouts, any type of things that are happening within the community to stay in touch with that treatment center and to come back and give back to what was given to them, to really mentor people. So I think it's a great idea. And the app is slick, man. I love it.
Well, the app also grew out of the head of Team Recovery is a friend of ours, Preston Dixon, and that app grew out of Renaissance Ranch, who has a very good alumni culture.
Yes,
they go with this band of brothers concept, and it's a really nice alumni culture. And so, if you want culture, you can get it there for sure.
Yeah, I actually have a little story about that.
Talk to me.
So in doing community outreach, people typically, when they have a loved one or somebody they know needs some help, they'll reach out and contact me. And I got a call about an individual. We'll just leave it at that.
Sure.
And this person was an alumni of the ranch. And so I start talking to him about Wasatch Crest because that's who employs me. Sure. I still refer out, and this person says, "Nope, I'm going back to the ranch." And I'm like, okay, great. That,
all right.
Can I ask why? And he's like, because of, all my brothers are at the ranch. I did so good. I didn't even think about using or drinking when I was at the ranch. And I'm like, that speaks to that culture that we're talking about, right? Sure. That dude, it didn't matter if I told him we were going to give him bouillon at the end of his treatment stay, right? Like bricks of bouillon. He loved his people.
That culture is important. And that human connection is important.
Absolutely. Speaking of Wasatch Crest, Wasatch Crest is one of our sponsors. So instead of just reading their tagline, because I've read it before, let me tell you a little bit about Wasatch Crest. It's on an absolute beautiful location, right? We do gender specific treatment. So guys are with guys, gals are with gals. I really appreciate that, because if I was sending my significant other, right, if this is an imaginary world and I'm sending Mandy off to treatment, I would want her to be in an environment where she's not getting whistled at. She's not getting, right? Not every place is like that. However, when it comes to substance abuse,
it's not an uncommon problem in treatment, however.
Yes. 9 times out of 10, when you're asking somebody to leave a treatment facility, it's for one of two things: violence or threats of violence and inappropriate relationships. So the fact that we do that Wasatch Crest does gender specific treatment, it takes one of those right off the table.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you or a loved one are interested in talking to somebody at Wasatch Crest or getting more information, you can call them at 385-644-1500, or you can go to the website and check it out, wasatchcresttreatment.com, to learn more. We appreciate them sponsoring.
Beautiful. Do you want to hit the other two now, or do you want to start let's yapping about the podcast and stop it halfway and do another sponsorship mention?
Let's get them, baby.
All right.
Detox.
Tell me a little bit about Rise Up Subs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can go through.
Unless you were ready for the other one.
I bet you have the Rise Up supplements one memorized.
I doubt it.
Come on. Here we go. No. A nootropic supplement line.
Yeah, I know. Keep going.
Aimed at optimizing brain function and supporting mental health. They have 2 powerful blends. Mindful Mood helps decrease anxiety and enhance mood, while Mind Shift helps increase focus and optimize brain function. Place your order today at riseupsups.com. And actually,
that's RISEUPSUPS.com.
Boom. You got it. Yes. Right. So we're doing a little giveaway for the Mindful Mood. Like, just to be completely transparent, that's me and Mandy started that supplement company, right?
Okay.
The Mind Shift flies off the shelf. Like, we've ordered the Mind Shift probably 3 times, reordered before we've rebatched the Mindful Mood. Because with the Mind Shift, like, it's not like vitamin C. Like, you've taken it, you take it, and like, I took 2 before I came, and I'm kind of animated and enthusiastic, and memories flowing, feeling good. Where the Mindful Mood, once you start taking it, you don't notice unless you stop taking it. Does that make sense?
Sure.
It's a little bit like the absence of anxiety and the absence of kind of some of that doom and gloom is really only noticeable once you stop.
Returns.
Right. So if you go to the website, you type in RAD20, that gives you the only thing you have to pay for is shipping. So go to the website, riseupsups.com, and punch in at promo at checkout. You click on the Mindful Mood. It only works for the Mindful Mood. We want to get people trying that. Just type in all caps RAD22, and that RAD22. The only thing you have to pay for is shipping. Yeah.
Okay, but while you're at it, also order a Mind Shift.
Yeah, the Mind Shift is
order a Mindful Mood. They'll ship it to you for shipping only, but have them add a Mind Shift to it, because you'll enjoy that one.
I've actually had several people reach out to me, and they're like, "Holy cow! Like, this is amazing. This is phenomenal. I actually feel motivated at work. I have better memory call. So it really works, man. It's good stuff. There's a reason why it's our bestseller."
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about Diamond Detox.
Diamond Detox.
These are our guys.
Yes. Yeah. So we've had Jordan on, right? He's a pretty good friend of the
Jordan's
podcast.
Been on a few times and will continue to be a frequent guest.
Yeah. So their tagline is officially, "Let Diamond Detox be your first step on your path to hope, help, and healing." Call their free and confidential number at 385-988-5332 or visit diamonddetox.com. What's not in that tagline is the amazing staff. Like, it's such a warm environment when you walk in. The staff are very personable, right? Very respectful. The rooms are absolutely gorgeous. Mm-hmm. Private rooms with your own TV. Mm-hmm. Even the mattresses are upgraded, because when you're detoxing, where are you spending most of your time?
Sure.
In bed, because you're not feeling great, right? So they even have like super nice, the mattresses, just everything's really High end, really nice.
Thing is, you make me almost want to relapse so I can go there.
Don't do that, dog.
I'm not going to.
Don't throw away.
Not today, baby.
A couple decades.
I got a little bit over a few decades, yeah.
Yeah. And we appreciate all those sponsors. So, Doc, how have you been, man? It's been a while since.
I'm good. I haven't been down. I mean, the last time I wasn't down that long ago. We had Thurl Bailey on the podcast, and
you were a fly on the wall.
And well, I mean, come on, it's Thurl Bailey.
That's true.
People don't want to hear me when we got Thurl Bailey on, right? So and also that one was early in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'm not a morning person. I just wasn't too vibrant at that point. And so, but I wanted to listen to Thurl too. I don't want to listen to me. I want to hear stuff Thurl has to say. That's a guest for us. I mean, we don't get guests that are that well known that often. So, that was fun to do that podcast.
Absolutely.
Gone back and watched, clips of it and the whole thing. And Thurl's just a guy. He's just a smart guy. He's just, his voice is nice and he's dignified. And Thurl's just a guy you can look up to in every meaning of that word, too.
Absolutely.
Because he is a big, tall dude.
Absolutely.
But it was fun to have him on. I didn't get to play golf with him.
Oh my gosh, I gotta share a quick story.
Yeah.
Right? So today is just gonna be me and Doc just having fun.
We're here.
We want to talk a little harm reduction versus abstinence, because I saw a post and you have some thoughts and some feelings on that. So we're gonna get to that. But let me just tell you about this behind the scenes with Thurl Bailey deal. So me and Jordan, Thurl, and one of our buddies, Troy, go out to golf.
Okay.
You know Troy?
I don't know that I do.
Troy Meyer. Okay, so he's
an interventionist.
I know of Troy,
but I don't think I know him.
I'm going to have Troy on one of these days. He's a great guy, really good buddy. And so Thurl also brought like his kids and their wife, the one's wife, right? And so we got a group in front of us, which is Thurl's kids, and then me, Jordan, Troy, and Thurl in a group. And
did Thurl's wife come?
No,
it was one of his kids' wives.
Yes.
Okay, so Thurl's daughter-in-law,
and they're kind of in front of us, right?
Okay.
Anyways, we play the back nine with Thurl, or the front nine with Thurl, and then the back nine, he wanted to go and play with his kids, which makes total sense. We're like, yeah, go ahead, go for it. Well, there's this hole that is long and straight. And Troy is going to deny this, but here's my story of the events and how it happened. Really
I've heard some of your golf stories, by the way, about me, and I know you have the ability to kind of embellish your stories a little bit.
So it's this really long, straight hole. And Thurl's up there like 10 yards off the green, right? So he's like 270 yards away from the tee box. And I'm like, all right, guys, like I think we're safe. You can envision it, right? We're standing on tee box, teed up. I think we're safe. Troy's like, I don't know, man. Troy's the first one to go.
The thing is, I'm not gonna ruin your story because I don't even know the ending. You can hit it 270. But it would be extremely rare to hit it 270 and straight. Very rare.
Yes.
For either of us.
Yes. So envision it. Here we are, standing on the tee box, 270 yards out. Troy's the first one up, and he's like, I don't know. I don't want to hit Thurl. It's Thurl Bailey, right?
Yeah.
And Troy's been
playing. You don't want to hit Thurl. Don't get Thurl mad.
Yeah. I love you, Troy. He was playing like doo-doo, the front nine, right? Okay. So I'm like, in my sarcasm, if you know me and I love you and you love me, you know I speak sarcasm first.
Sure.
I'm like, Troy, I will give you my entire next paycheck if you could hit Thurl Bailey, meaning you can't hit it straight 270 yards out.
One time out of a million.
Right.
Yeah.
So Thurl's, again, 10 yards off the green. Troy, whack, just hits a piss missile, right? I probably shouldn't say that, but just hits a lightning bolt, right?
Be okay. She's not even listening to us.
Just a lightning bolt this dude hits. And as he's getting out of his cart on the left, his ball lands on the right side of the cart where Thurl would have been if he would have been on the right side. Rolls up. I kid you not, Doc. He's got less than a 4-foot putt for eagle.
Yeah.
For eagle. And yeah.
Wow.
So now, and then apparently my nickname is, oh man, come to me. What was it? Hitman Miller. So apparently my nickname's Hitman Miller on a golf course because I'm putting hits on people's heads.
Hits on people.
So then, and then I'm going to finish this up.
Don't worry about it.
So
we're talking.
So of course, Troy goes up there, taps his eagle in, drives up in front of us to Thurl, and he's like, "Hey, sorry, man, they were betting me his paycheck that I couldn't hit you." And I'm like, "Dude, come on, context, right? Like I meant you couldn't hit a drive like that."
Right.
So 18th hole, they wait for us. We all play 18 together. He walks up. Maybe it might have been before 18. Anyways, a hole. He walks up and it's like, "Hey, great, shake your hand, right? We're done." And he looks down at me and he's like, "Hey, I heard you bet somebody your entire paycheck that they couldn't hit me." And I literally am like looking up like,
sure.
Let me explain that. So yeah, it was fun, man.
You can look up at Thurl for sure.
It was fun. I gotta say though,
big man.
You're a religious guy.
Sure.
You don't golf on Sundays.
I don't.
And so, frankly, I was annoyed because I wanted you to be there, but I also respect that you live the life that you live, right?
It's a thing. It's
a value of you.
It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
There's plenty. It's not like I lack for golf time. I play plenty of golf, so I don't need to do it on Sundays. I'm not saying I've never played on a Sunday, but maybe twice in my whole life.
Yeah.
Both times on vacation.
Yeah, there you go.
I think, but nothing recently. It's just something I don't do. It's all right. I don't care if other people do it. It's not my business.
I just love when people uphold their morals and values. Yeah, so thanks. My hat's off to you.
Thanks. We all have our lines in the sand that we don't cross very often.
Absolutely.
That's one of mine.
Yeah. Okay. Well, should we jump into this?
Well, yeah. Let's talk about it. So we were sort of batting around ideas, right? Sometimes, frequently have a guest. And so in the past, for many or most of our guests, and this was the original concept of the podcast, we want to have a guest on and hopefully a guest who is in recovery, actively in recovery, and has been successful in recovery. Mm-hmm. Because if you remember the old pre-recorded stuff on the podcast, we played a song and then you said something and I said something. And then the very last thing I think that I said was, we want to talk about what successful recovery can look like.
Yeah. We want to show you what successful recovery
that's the motto. That's been every podcast we've done until we started with a new studio used to say that, right?
Yeah.
That was what we wanted to do. We wanted to show people in recovery that are living a great life, that are succeeding, that are, to kind of be a beacon out there for people that are struggling, thinking, is this ever going to get better? Yeah, it is. And we're going to show you who's some people that it's gotten better for.
Absolutely.
And so, but the problem is we record in St. George. I don't live here. You do. Mm-hmm. But there's not 50,000 recovery people in St. George that you know. There's the list of potential guests is limited.
Very true.
It ain't zero, but it's limited. And frankly, and I can say this from my point of view, because I've asked a few people to get some of my friends to drive down just to do a podcast. Kind of difficult.
Yeah.
It's a 3.5, 4 hour drive for people. If they live in Salt Lake, it's 4 at least. And if they live in Utah County, it's 3.5 hour drive. And we don't pay. We don't make any money. We're not going to pay guests.
Right.
They can come on and talk, but we're not going to pay them. And so to get people all the way down to St. George, particularly in the summer, to get people down here to do a podcast has been difficult. So we've gone away from every episode. We went away from this a long time ago. Every episode being you, me, and a guest. And the other thing is I can't make it down every week either, so I'm only on every other.
Yes, we do some topics.
But sometimes when we get together and we can't get a guest for that week, or sometimes when we don't feel like getting a guest for that week, we'll do a topic or two. We'll pick a topic. Yeah. So this week we were mulling around topics, right? And we kicked out, we really kicked out a couple of different things.
We thought about talking about the big, beautiful bill.
We talked about the big, beautiful bill and what the impacts might be for those of us in the drug and alcohol treatment industry.
To be frank, I'm just not smart enough to understand it all because it's too in depth.
Well, I didn't feel.
And I also don't.
I didn't feel like reading much of it either.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. I also don't want to get into politics and left versus right and all the Because my wife,
I think we could have stayed away from that.
Yeah, when my wife was looking it up, she said to me, it really depends on the source that you're reading it about because some of them paint it in a light that it's the best thing since sliced bread, and some of them painted in a light as like this is going to be the start of doomsday.
That's sort of what I didn't want to do. Is if we were going to do that topic, we kind of sort of decided to go away from that. We may hit on a little bit, but we decided to go away from that particular topic. But if we were going to do that, I was going to read the bill, and I wasn't going to read any commentary. I was just going to read the bill, and then I make up my own mind what it says about and what it means to how that's going to impact my life and my patients' lives.
But we settled on one though.
But instead, you sent me an alternative topic, and it started out with MAT, which is medically assisted treatment.
Yeah.
And we're probably going to cover some of that.
Yeah.
But it morphed a little bit.
Yeah. So
you sent me a meme. You sent me a Facebook or some social media meme.
Mm-hmm.
So read that to us, or do you want to?
Yeah. So when
hit us with some backstory. Huh?
So I follow a lot of recovery pages. I know every time I talk, you start talking. Sorry.
Hey.
I follow a lot of recovery pages.
Okay.
And this thing specifically, I saw people sharing, like it had been shared a lot.
Okay.
Right? Like more than like double digit, quite a bit. Do you want to read it?
Sure, I'll read it if you want me to.
Go ahead.
Here's what it said. This is what Jared sent to me as we're discussing what our topic will be. And he said, first of all, this is a post that is going around social media that I absolutely want to discuss this Friday. And the post reads, "The most ethical form of addiction treatment is to adopt a harm reduction perspective and encourage every positive change rather than insist upon abstinence as the only acceptable goal and chastise and discharge those who fail to achieve it."
Yeah. And I wrote, I agree and disagree. We can get into why on the episode, right? Because there are some things about this that I agree with. There are some things about this that I disagree with. Right. And I know harm reduction, it can be a sensitive topic for some people. It's controversial.
It can be controversial. It really shouldn't be maybe quite as controversial as it is, but it can be for sure. Well, what do you want to lead with? Do you want to lead with why you agree?
Yes.
Why you disagree?
Let's start there.
The team at Diamond Detox is compassionate, helpful, and trained to support every step of the healing journey. Your loved one's path to a healthier, happier life starts with a free and easy 20 to 30-minute assessment over the phone or a few questions submitted online on the Diamond Detox website. Assessments and admissions occur 7 days a week, depending on availability. To begin the path to recovery, visit diamonddetox.com or call 385-988-5332.
Let's start with why I agree.
Okay.
So,
and then I'll tell you where you're wrong. How about that?
This is sounding familiar.
This is great.
I love it.
Yeah.
So I agree with that from the perspective of, listen, I think substance abuse, it's not black and white. People want to treat it like it's black and white. And I'm sure you, Doc, working in the medical field, can speak to this. Substance abuse, when you really get into the depths of it, is on a spectrum. To me, it's on a spectrum. There are certain
even if the patients are on the spectrum, it's on a spectrum.
Okay, yeah, but the severity to me is it's on kind of a scale or on a spectrum. And I'll give you an example. I had a client that I was working with in the past, and he or she will remain nameless. But this individual was saying, I was using illicit substances, heroin, meth, cocaine, right? And, for the last couple years, I've switched over and I've just been doing MAT, medication-assisted treatment, right? The methadone and using prescription, for ADHD, which is like Adderall or some controlled substances.
Sure.
In that moment, I have to, based on this, I want to acknowledge that person's success. They have stopped using the stuff that's on the streets, and they've gone through the legal routes to get a prescription from a doctor. They are in a treatment setting, right? And they're trying to work on putting their life back together. I would say that individual is somewhere on that spectrum of maybe halfway there.
Of course, they're on the spectrum. Yeah.
Right. And so,
because the only thing off the spectrum is daily use, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the ultimate
I think
right
on
end
one,
of
let's talk about the spectrum.
That's the ultimate end of the spectrum.
I think that the spectrum is, yes, like active addiction,
active daily use
versus complete abstinence.
Complete abstinence is at the other end of that spectrum. Right.
And here's the thing too, right? Is we can get into the nitty gritty over, do they really need to be on this much?
We're going to.
Are they taking their Adderall as prescribed, right? Like, but then I feel like we get to a point to where we're losing sight of this person is making progress in their life. You know, they're no longer buying it from a guy on the street. And to some degree, they're trending in a positive way, in my opinion. So that is why I agree with this. From a harm reduction standpoint, that person's less likely to die from, an overdose on fentanyl if they're taking their medications as prescribed, involved in treatment. And so I do think that to some degree, though, that should be praised. This individual I was working with also shared with me that he doesn't feel like he's part of the recovery community because people judge him or chastise him for being on medication-assisted treatment.
Well, and part of that is because we consider the community of recovery probably the largest organization that you would call a community of recovery would be AA or any of the anonymous.
It's the oldest,
right?
For sure.
Those are essentially completely abstinence-based.
Correct.
Right. There's no such thing as AA meetings where they praise you for drinking less, very much.
Right.
The only requirement is that you're not drunk during the meeting, basically. Well, actually,
even then, you can come drunk to a meeting.
Actually, the only requirement is a desire to quit drinking.
Yes,
but
there you go.
I don't want to make up because that's actually that's
in the literature.
That's in writing.
Yeah.
But it is frowned upon to come drunk to meetings. I mean, people don't love it very much, but it's not outlawed.
But they'll let you in.
It's not outlawed. Yeah. No one's banned except supposedly people that don't want to quit drinking.
So that's my perspective of why I agree with it. Why do you agree? Because I know, you've actually debated in front of people abstinence versus harm reduction, right?
For sure.
So from that quote, what parts of it bring to mind that you would agree with?
Well, yeah, I think that I have a couple of philosophies on this, right? Harm reduction is a lovely concept. I'm not an anti-harm reduction guy because anyone who is for not reducing harm. Well, that's not a very humane thing to say. I don't want addicts to reduce harm. Either they get clean and sober or they should die. Who would say that?
Well, and you can't recover if you're dead.
Who would think? There's the concept to me. Much of what the harm reduction people that I speak to say is you can't recover when you're dead. I agree. Avoiding death is a lovely goal. It's probably the goal.
Yeah.
Right. And, but if you want to say, so here's the spectrum, right? We got daily use over here and we got total abstinence over here. If you put harm reduction somewhere in there, you know what the ultimate harm reduction is? Abstinence.
Sure.
You can't get hepatitis C from a needle if you're not using needles.
That's fair.
You cannot get a sexually transmitted disease from a prostitute if you're not hiring prostitutes. And you can't die of a fentanyl overdose if you don't use something with fentanyl in it.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate end of harm reduction, right? Which makes it, to me, a very lovely and worthy goal, abstinence. I agree it can't be the only goal for some people. It won't work for some people right now, and it may not ever work for some people.
Mm.
Where I struggle with, well, I'm getting to the negative aspects now, but I'm going to agree that the harm reduction people that I know, the really strong harm reduction people that I know are these lovely big-hearted people. Like they care about their fellow beings. Yeah. There's no question in my mind about that. Maybe even more so than I do. I care about human beings a lot, but I've seen some really, really, really caring and loving individuals that are just big harm reduction people, right? And I think that very first part of that quote that I read, of the meme you sent me, which is, it is the most ethical.
The most ethical form of addiction treatment is to adopt a harm reduction perspective and encourage every positive change rather than insist upon abstinence as the only acceptable goal and chastise and discourage those who fail to achieve it.
Yeah, I actually had seen another quote that I was thinking of about talking about it being the most humane. That wasn't this quote. This says most ethical, but it's humane for sure, right?
Yeah.
Here's where I diverge a little bit. So let's get in. We'll just dive into some of we don't have to just do all positives and all negatives, but, well, how many treatment centers have you worked at in your career?
3, 4, maybe 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know them all, though. I mean, you could name them off the top of your head.
Yeah, absolutely.
How many of them allow MAT while they're in residential treatment of the 5?
All 5.
Okay. That's a big change from 5 years ago.
Sure.
That's a humongous change from 5 years ago. Right now, I'm only working at, well, what do I call working? I'm affiliated with 3 places.
Okay.
One's a detox.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think the detox, the goal of the detox is sort of anti-MAT. Sort of. I'm not sure that they make everyone get off of all their Suboxone. I doubt they do, but
they want them to taper before.
I'm not going to count a detox place as that.
We'll roll that out.
I work at one residential place, and I'm sort of supervising over one more residential place, both of whom allow MAT, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many of them allow use in treatment?
None.
How many discharge for use in treatment of the 5?
Maybe not on the first offense, but eventually, yeah, all.
I would say my philosophy has always been, from the early days of working in this industry, it's been, I don't kick people out for one-time use. They came to me for help with use.
Right.
Why do we kick them out for not being successful their very first effort?
Right.
My line that I draw in the sand there is, if they sneak drugs or alcohol in and ruin someone else's sobriety, that's a different story than if they snuck some drugs and alcohol into my treatment center and they happen to use it, and when they get discovered or they self-report or whatever, if we see some humility and some desire to change, please stay with us. Don't leave now. This is not the time for you to leave. This is the time you leave and die.
Right.
Don't leave.
Yeah.
We don't kick people. I don't work at any place that will kick somebody out for one-time use without some other circumstances around it.
Okay.
Now, if it's somebody's 4th offense, at some point you got to say, this isn't working for you, dude.
Sure.
And I don't know what that number is. It's not the first time usually. And it may be the 4th time. It may be the 3rd time. It may be the 10th. I don't know. But it's not 0 for me. It's somewhere down the road. You got to, and then the other thing is involvement of other people. That's where I draw a line. You can ruin your own sobriety, but if you bring something in and ruin someone else's chance at sobriety, I don't want you here.
Got you.
I need you somewhere else. Right?
Okay.
This isn't working for you.
So,
okay. Now let me move to.
I was going to say,
now let me move to. You've been at programs that allow MAT during treatment, that allow medically assisted treatment during treatment.
Correct. Yeah.
So medically assisted treatment, for those of you that may be new to the subject, there's probably not very many that listen to us, but medically assisted treatment is the use of medications to help in recovery from addiction, and specifically is defined as the following medications. So naltrexone, which is naltrexone and or Vivitrol. Mm-hmm. Naloxone, not really MAT. It's used for overdose.
Kind of to revive people.
To bring people back who have tried to kill themselves from an overdose. But naltrexone, buprenorphine in all of its forms, whether that's Subutex, Suboxone, injectable types of buprenorphines, right?
Which are some of my favorite, by the way.
Antabuse.
Mm-hmm.
What am I missing? I'm not sure I'm missing anything. That's essentially MAT, right? There's no real medically assisted treatment for benzodiazepine use disorder. There is for alcohol, and that's the Vivitrol. Oh, Camprol probably would be considered. These things are all medically assisted treatment. I want to go specifically to the ones that show up the most. If I give you a shot of Vivitrol today, tomorrow, I can't tell you're on Vivitrol. I won't be able to know that.
Right.
Unless I remember giving you the shot. But your behavior will change none.
Right.
Zero. Your cravings might change, but I can't sit here and look at you and say, oh, that guy's on Vivitrol. I can't do that.
Yeah.
But if I give you Suboxone or some buprenorphine product, I likely, particularly if it's not a tiny amount, I likely can tell you're on some buprenorphine product.
Right.
Have you been in groups and or run groups where some people are on Suboxone and some people aren't?
Absolutely.
Can you tell who's on and who's not?
Yep.
Most of the time, right?
By their awareness.
Maybe not every single
engagement.
person, but most of the time you can tell it.
I would say probably 75, 80%.
Yeah, maybe even higher, but not 100.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Dr. Pepper sip break. Those groups are difficult.
Yeah, it's usually...
Those groups are difficult because...
Especially when some people's trying to do the completely abstinent
That's the point.
thing.
If you're in a group where you have opiate addicts who are trying to do abstinence and opiate addicts who are doing medically assisted treatment, more of these guys who, let's say it's their own statement, they want abstinence, their desire for abstinence decreases when they see people nodding off in group.
Yeah, they get triggered.
They want that.
Yeah.
Too.
Sure.
They want to feel like that and call themselves in recovery.
Sure.
It's hard to mix those groups. Having said that, it's hard to mix those groups. I'm going to go back to this. I'm going to read again. The most ethical form of addiction treatment is to adopt a harm reduction perspective. Can't read with my glasses on. And encourage every positive change rather than insist upon abstinence as the only acceptable goal and chastise and discharge those who fail to achieve it. Okay. Having worked at some abstinence-only programs, particularly 20 years ago, where MAT just really wasn't a thing, like Suboxone had just been invented when I started, sort of.
Yeah.
Vivitrol had just been invented when I started too. Naltrexone and Antabuse have been around for a while. But I've worked at some abstinence-only places long before buprenorphine was on the market.
Okay.
Having worked at those places, I will tell you, okay, I want to head a different direction really quick. I have recently received texts from friends of mine who are on government committees for drug and alcohol treatment stuff.
Okay.
Got a couple of physicians. I'm not going to name names, but I got a couple of physician friends who are on some of the committees, and they have these committee meetings, and I received some excerpts of some messages that they sent out after the committee meeting. One of them said, treatment programs that do not allow patients to be on Suboxone. It was even stronger worded than that. Treatment programs that don't, it wasn't don't allow, I can't remember exactly the wording now, but should not receive any federal funding.
That's a pretty strong statement.
Basically saying there is no room for treatment programs that don't do abstinence only. I struggle with that concept.
Yeah.
Because I understand, Matt, it saves lives. People dying from opioid overdoses is at an epidemic level in our country. 100,000 people a year are dying from overdoses, and more are dying from overdoses. The vast majority of those are opiates. I understand that Suboxone will reduce that number. We don't know the extent to what it will reduce it because the studies have not been long-term and humongous studies yet, but we believe that Suboxone or Subutex or any buprenorphine product, Brixadi and whatever the other one is, Sublocade, reduces overdose deaths. So more people will be alive. But that shouldn't exclude an abstinence-only program.
Right.
Why can't you be so what they're saying is they shouldn't receive federal funding. That means they shouldn't, Medicaid patients, they shouldn't be reimbursed for any Medicaid patients that go there.
Yeah.
Why can't a Medicaid patient choose an abstinence-only program? Why not? What's wrong with that? I'm a big fan of patient autonomy. It's not my job to tell people what to do.
Right.
I do it really well, but it's not my job. My job is to honestly, I believe this deeply. My job is to lay out options and patients get to choose them. Now, in an abstinence-only program, which I don't work at any of those right now, but in an abstinence-only program, treatment center, the options are limited. You can't choose Matt in an abstinence-only program. I don't work any abstinence-only programs right now. They're becoming
less and less,
yeah. But there's still some.
Yeah.
Why can't they exist?
Salvation Army.
Why can't they exist?
Right. Yeah.
Hi, my name's Jim Huffman. I'm the founder and CEO of Wasatch Crest Treatment Services. We're located in Heber City, Utah, amongst the beautiful Wasatch Mountains. We offer a full continuum of care, and what that means is that, we can support our clients and their families from day one all the way through their entire recovery journey. Our goal here at Wasatch Crest is for this to be your last time in treatment and the beginning of a life in recovery that will bring you joy and fulfillment and a sense of healing to you and your family and to those who love you.
To learn more about Wasatch Crest, call me, Jared, directly at 385-644-1500 and check out the website at wasatchcresttreatment.com. Yeah, and when it comes to medications, I appreciate all that, and I can respect all that, and I can see your perspective with everything. When it comes to medications, I'm okay with the medications and the mixed milieu, and because you can use all that stuff therapeutically to talk about,
sure,
let's talk about why it's
you're going to
triggering you, and let's talk about
you're going to be at a meeting someday
that.
And some guy's drunk and he's nodding off, and you're in a meeting at work, and it's like you're going to have to deal with it.
The tough thing that I have is I've worked for programs in the past where the physician sees people virtually. They don't ever see them in individuals. Mm-hmm. They don't ever see them at lunch, at the lunch table. They don't ever see them in a group setting. Mm-hmm. And so then when you reach out, because you're either a counselor, a therapist, clinical director, whatever my role was, and you say, hey, this individual they're not just like, the goal of Matt is to get them to a point where they're normal, right?
Right.
When they are completely falling out, that's not like normal. And so I can appreciate programs that have physicians who are on site, right, for the majority, or every once in a while they have the physician will stop in and just see people in the here and the now, because it's tough when they're over medicated and you're like, what are we doing, right?
Right, and very easy to miss through telehealth.
Yes. Where harm reduction for me, I disagree with this, is I'm not a big fan. Like, I feel like to some degree harm reduction can become enabling. I feel like to some degree harm reduction can become enabling, right?
If carried to its logical extreme.
Right. Like the whole giving out of clean needles. Like, okay, I understand why. It's to prevent Hep C, it's to prevent HIV, right? There's a lot of, and at the same time, that's the quickest way for somebody to overdose is intravenous consumption of a chemical, right? Maybe if it was a little bit harder, it would deter them not to use that method, which is one of the most extreme methods to use, right?
Right.
And we could sit, and somebody who feels different than me, we could sit and we could debate that back and forth all day long. That's why I get to have an opinion. And my opinion is sometimes,
and we should probably.
I think, and if you want to debate it with me,
I got some people we should bring on that are strong harm reduction people.
Yeah, and to me, it's like I feel like at some point it crosses over a little bit into enablement.
It for sure has that ability to do that.
Now, listen, wound kits and things like that. Like it's just specifically like, we're going to provide you a space. We're going to provide you the needle. We're going to provide you, like for me, that it's getting to be, that's too much. For me, to some degree, then it becomes almost we're condoning it instead of, You get what I'm saying?
So in preparation for this podcast, because I'm not a giant harm reduction guy, I feel a little bit the way you're saying it. It can definitely become enabling. And in preparation, I listened to a bunch of harm reduction stuff, and they all said, no, that's not what we're doing, blah, 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 right? But they make claims that sound like some of the claims you hear from brand new treatment centers, and, our success rates are 100%,
sure.
Blah, blah, blah. One of the claims I heard was that there has never been an overdose at a harm reduction injection site that can't be true. That cannot be true.
I mean, with fentanyl,
they may not die while they're still there.
Sure. Yeah.
But they may shoot up and walk out the front door.
Yeah.
I haven't been to a clean injection site, so I can't tell you from personal experience. But they can't have rules about how long you have to stay. I don't believe they can do that.
I don't know.
So
I'm not a big fan.
I hate those claims, yeah. Right? And then
can I just real quick, yeah. Like, it would be hard for me as a person in long-term recovery. It'd be hard for me as a counselor. It'd be hard for me as a human being to say to somebody, hey, good job. Instead of shooting up in a porta potty, you're now shooting up in a safe environment place. Like, to me, that just feels really tough.
The guy was pointing out about McDonald's restrooms having needles in them. And so not only is the person shooting up safer, the general public is also safer because there's not needles laying around in the McDonald's restroom. Okay, great. He also then went on to point out millions of lives have been saved from clean injection sites. Based on what?
Yeah, let's see.
Based on what? We've had clean injection sites now for not that long. It's not like they're 50 years old. They're not.
Yeah.
There's probably 3 of them in the U.S. that are 20 years old.
Yeah.
And maybe less than that. And where's the data that millions of lives have been saved?
Yeah.
That's the same data that came from the fact that they've never been a single overdose. Like, that kind of data doesn't help their argument.
Right.
That kind of data can't be true.
It's almost unbelievable. Yeah. Yeah. And I think for me, when people, again, I think it's on a spectrum. I think it's on a scale. And the only disagreement I have, because I do feel like you should encourage somebody to move from one end of that scale to the other end of that scale. And I think that whether people do it all at once or whether people do it over a decade, as long as they're making progress, typically I would encourage that. I would praise that. I would be very encouraging of that. For me, it's like, if we can imagine active addiction is 0 and abstinence is 100, for me, it would be right there in that like 5 to 10%, where it's like, congratulations, you're doing it in a safe space instead of because to me, I struggle with that.
Sure.
I think to some degree we really ought to, and maybe it starts there, right? Maybe it starts with somebody's coming in and they're doing it in a safe space. They get that human connection. They realize somebody cares. They take a pamphlet or they take a referral for a treatment center. Great. And I can get on board with that. And I'm okay with that for people that are, right? I'm not an idiot. I know how it works, right? And those relationships are important. I just personally would have a hard time being it wouldn't be authentic. That's all I'm trying to say. I wouldn't authentically be able to say, hey, congratulations, now you're doing it in this apartment camper where it's safe, where we can watch you versus...
I think as a therapist, which I am not.
Okay.
My license would allow me to do therapy, but I would be the worst therapist on the planet. I think as a therapist, if you're seeing a person on an individual basis, every little step they take should be lauded and should be congratulated and should be praised. Congratulations. You're not going to get hepatitis today. Okay, great. That's better than yesterday when you could have gotten hepatitis, right? Congratulations, you've got clean needles and you've got alcohol to wipe your arm down and you've got a nurse there in case something. Good job. That's not my job. We
call that unconditional positive regard. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think as a therapist, I can see how.
Yeah.
Right. Even as a physician, I can go with that concept. Like if I have a private patient that I'm seeing long term and I see little steps, every little step should be praised. Every little step should be, nice job. Your life is slightly better today than it was yesterday. Good job.
I agree.
As an employee of a treatment center, that's where I struggle with some of this stuff. I don't see patients privately. I see patients in a treatment center. Treatment centers aren't the greatest of places for, well, the treatment centers I work at aren't the greatest of places for just harm reduction.
Right.
Right. And so I have a little trouble with that. Here's another trouble I have. Some of the motivation or the reasoning behind having behind having clean injection sites. People are going to inject anyway. So let's not expect them to not inject because people are going to inject anyway. Let's make a safer place.
Mm-hmm. And a cleaner device.
Guess what?
I understand.
Guess what? People are going to speed too. Is that why should we raise the speed limit because they're going to anyway? No.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And one of the things when I truly
It's a felony that you're creating a safe space for. That's a problem I have. You're allowing people to, I don't know how we do that.
Yeah.
Come commit a felony on our clean property. How's that even legal?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, you can make a case for maybe it shouldn't be a felony. Okay, it's not a felony in some places, right? Some places in the United States have relaxed some of those laws. Particularly more liberal states, Oregon and Colorado, have relaxed some of those laws. Possession and those laws are relaxed quite a bit.
Well, even Utah, back when I was catching possession charges, they were felonies. Nowadays, they're misdemeanors.
Right.
So, yeah. Which is funny because I read an article, and we won't go here, but a couple months ago, so this year, 2025, I read an article where the state of Utah is talking about making possession charges a felony again.
Well, and you and I have done a podcast on places like Oregon and Colorado and Portugal and Amsterdam.
Oh, yeah.
Restricting their laws more than they have been recently because they didn't foresee all of the potential consequences of legalizing all drugs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a podcast. We don't always do a visual part of our podcast, but we had in preparation seen many pictures of the streets of Portugal and San Francisco and Portland.
Oh, yeah.
Just littered with paraphernalia.
Yeah.
And people are finally getting fed up with the fact that you can't walk down some side alley without getting stuck with a needle anymore. And so states that have relaxed those laws are going back on that.
Yeah.
Harm reduction hasn't always given us the consequences they intended.
Well, the tough thing is, and I was going to say this, based on my personal experience and story, part of the being sick and tired was the difficulty of just the rat race of finding it, of getting it, of finding clean materials to use, finding a space to use it. Like when I was done using, it was like I felt like all that just I could let go of all that because I didn't have to do all that manipulation and running around and crap. And so again, if we're making it easier for people, well, then it might not be as big of a deterrent for them to stop. That's my only train of thought. And that's me speaking from my personal experience, which I get it's not everybody's experience,
right,
but
exactly.
it can be mine. Right. So that was my thought. I also wanted to, unless you want to continue down this vein, I put together some questions over the years. We're terrible at getting back to the listeners, right? The listeners will write in with like comments and questions.
Okay.
And typically we're doing topics or we have people we're interviewing, and so we rarely get around to them.
You may start asking your questions, but I may go back to Matt too.
Okay.
And to harm reduction specifically.
Okay. Yeah.
I still have a few things I want to say, but I'm okay with changing directions for a few minutes.
Yeah. I just don't know that I have much more on that. Again, I saw the post. I saw it was very public. I read comments. Some people were for it. Some people were against it. And I was like, I can sit on both sides of that fence and argue both sides. So I want to talk about it.
Here's a, before you get to it, then I'm going to toss this one out. Here's another comment I heard on a podcast about harm reduction from a harm reduction guy.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I've never heard of a single case. And this I can believe. I always hate it when people go with absolutes, though, right? they've never had a single overdose. They have 100. There's never been an overdose. We've saved millions. I hate those grand extremes.
The data is so extreme that it's not realistic.
It's not possible.
Right.
It's not possible you've let people shoot up at your place and no one's ever overdosed ever.
Yeah.
That's just not possible.
Yeah.
But this guy was saying he's never heard of a single case of somebody, and I can believe this, of somebody realizing now there's a safe and clean place to inject, and so that made them want to start using drugs. Okay, I can believe that. People don't sit at home not using and say,
"No,
oh, I'm going to start using because now there's a safe injection site."
Ridiculous.
Okay, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But why did you stop?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I stopped because there was consequences, because the Salt Lake City Police Department gave me some pretty bracelets and I didn't have the opportunity to use for a really long time because I was incarcerated. And even then, even when I was sitting in treatment after doing quite a bit of jail time, right? 6 months of just jail time. Even then I was like, I'll play the game and go through and do whatever these guys are saying, but eventually I'm going back to it.
Sure.
And then somewhere along the way, that thought changed.
Well, and I agree with this concept of harm reduction right there. A guy that just barely makes the decision that needs to change his life, maybe hitting him with abstinence as the only possible outcome is too much for that guy right then, person right then. I can understand that. I believe that. That can be true.
Yeah.
Might be too much for a lot of people right then. You don't need to, the first time a guy tries to quit, you don't need to hit him with, you can't ever take a single drink ever again for the rest of your life. Okay. Maybe that's too much for some people.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming for lots of people.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I quit because, in all honesty, I quit because the state took my license away.
The negative
and
consequences.
And I didn't know how to make a living otherwise.
Yeah.
If the state hadn't done that, I wouldn't have quit right then.
Right.
I wouldn't have quit when I did.
Right. Yeah.
And if we're talking about harm reduction, then I'll tell you what, my continued use, I could have died from an overdose. I could have fallen asleep at the wheel of my car and killed somebody. But I could have also kept ruining my relationships with my family.
Yeah.
Right? I could have kept screwing up the way I interacted with people in my own house. The harm reduction from quitting changed that quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do I still have tons of work to do? Every day. That's why we take a searching and fearless moral inventory, not once in our lives, but frequently.
Yep.
That's why we make amends frequently. That's why we try to continue improving on a daily basis. But just the fact that I quit changed my relationships with my children.
Yeah.
Dad no longer came home. Well, I'm getting old now. This is still the case. But Dad no longer came home and everybody had to shut up because Dad had a headache. Dad didn't actually have a headache. He had a bunch of morphine on board most of the time. But the family had to be quiet because Dad didn't feel good and he was going to go take a nap.
Sure.
Now, I do come home tired at 65 sometimes and they still have to be quiet, but it's not for the same reason at least.
Yeah.
And so, you want harm reduction? Continuing to use continues to harm your relationships with others.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And continues to ruin your brain and your heart and your liver and your kidneys.
So we've made developing an app very affordable and we do it really quick.
We are the only mobile app development company in the behavioral health space and the only constant throughout a client's entire life cycle, from pre-admissions to 10 years sober.
Now with new technology, we can develop a high-quality app in a fraction of the time. Now that we've done this with hundreds of partners all across the country, we can get this done within 6 weeks. An hour of your time is all it requires per week over that time, and just like that, your app's done. Developed on the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store.
On the front end, we know we can help increase conversions. While the patient's with you, we work on retention and engagement, and moving on into post-treatment, we collect a lot of readmissions and referrals.
Get your agency an app. Give them a call at 866-824-2281 or visit their website at teamrecovery.io. Well said. I feel like I've said like what I feel like I have on that, but I completely agree with you. I think we're very like-minded in that.
Yeah.
I'm all about, like, again, moving people on that spectrum or that scale closer to abstinence, but I still would consider it at some point I feel like, okay, if you're still using heavy mat, whether that's methadone, whether that's Suboxone, if you're still using quite a bit towards the upper end of that,
sure,
you still have some negative consequences in your life, right? Like this individual who I was talking about that I worked with years ago, he would lose jobs because he couldn't stay awake at work. Right. Or he would freak out on his girlfriend because he would take more Adderall than he was supposed to. Right.
Sure.
And so again, on that spectrum, you can have a higher quality of life the higher you move up on that spectrum.
Right.
But you still have negative consequences, even if you're doing it in a way that is legal and is prescribed versus complete abstinence.
Thank you for reminding me of exactly where I feel like I could end this conversation for me.
Yeah.
I feel like you're done with it already. I'm beating a dead horse.
You're good.
But here's where I could end that conversation right there, is that as long as you continue to use, you're going to continue, no matter whether you're using more safe than you used to or not, you're going to continue to have negative consequences. I don't care how much methadone you're on. You can't use methadone and have zero consequences from it. You're going to be more tired. You're going to be a little slower in the brain.
Even if it's just your health.
Right. Yeah. Right. Most of them are health consequences, but some of them might be relationship consequences. Some of them might be losing jobs. Here's where I really disagree with harm reduction. I don't disagree with it for the most part, but when they remove abstinence as one of the possibilities of choices, they've removed patient autonomy. If you are trying to convince somebody else that they shouldn't shoot for abstinence right now, that's a problem. Now, if they are convincing you they can't shoot for abstinence, okay, different story.
Sure.
But it's not your job. My job as a physician is to lay out all the possibilities, and then we decide which one's going to work for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't like that occasionally harm reduction people look at abstinence as a negative. How could that possibly ever be a negative? It might not be achievable by some people right now.
It's actually my favorite model for the first time when somebody's first in treatment. But no, I agree. I like it. If you're cool with it, I'd like to pivot.
Hit some questions. Pivot.
So we got like 15 minutes left here. I just want to get to some of these. So one of the individuals, and again, everybody's going to stay anonymous, but one of the individuals that sent a message.
What's their name?
Noticed that there's been a couple recently. There's been two specific guests who've come on who have talked poorly of treatment centers, and they picked up on that I was defensive about that, and so I want to address that, and thank you for pointing that out to me. Like I appreciate that, and it's not just because I work for a treatment center or I'm trying to pimp a treatment center. I don't get paid, right? The thing for me, when people come on and they bash a treatment center and they talk about how the success rates are terrible, and they talk about, how it's outdated and the old Minnesota model and some of the stuff, some of the comments that some people have made, I do get defensive. And that's because my personal experience is I see people be successful. I'm in the rooms. I'm working. I work in treatment. I oftentimes will go to a meeting and I'll see an individual that I worked with years ago, and they're picking up their 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 year chip.
Or 22.
Right? And so the tough thing is I feel like when we talk about and we bash these treatment centers, my thought is always, okay, so what's your alternative?
Yep, give us something better.
What's your alternative?
But I think we need that. That's an excellent point. The innovations in addiction treatment have been slow and few and far between. There have been some major innovations, Suboxone being one of them, MAT being one of them, right? But they're slow. We're still basically doing the same thing that Dr. Bob and
but I think
Bill W. talked about a long time ago.
And that's where I don't love that. I'm a 12-step guy. I got clean in AA. And you can go back and listen to recordings from day one when we started this 5 years ago. I am an AA guy. However, I don't like a ton of 12-step and I don't like a ton of AA or NA in my
treatment.
Now listen, if they go to a meeting, love that. Let's do that.
Right.
But running a group on the 12 steps, there's
it's not therapy.
Resources out there.
Right.
And I feel like as an industry, to your point, we do need to
keep innovating.
We do. And I think the industry is starting to do that. You're starting to see more and more facilities that are doing trauma informed. You're starting to see more and more facilities that are getting IFS trained or EMDR trained, or they're doing neurofeedback or TMS or
ketamine.
Yeah, even some.
Well, that's an innovation.
Sure, right?
Kind of controversial, but it's an innovation at least.
And it's
a try at something different.
I do think we're working out of that old model. Right. People that come on and bash it have either not had a ton of experience in the here and now of 2025 working in treatment, or they went to treatment 5 years ago, and 5 years ago they were still doing this is 12 steps, we're going to shove it down your throat, right? And so to me, that's where I sit. It doesn't sit well with me because I'm like, I have evidence. I have evidence of the other too, for sure. I've worked with clients who have gone out and died.
Sure.
After they got done working with me. I'm not
We've
too proud to
all been
admit
to
that.
too many funerals.
Yes. And at the same time, every time I want to say names so bad because I'm so proud of these people, I won't. But every time I see these people who, when I watched walk into that treatment center, they were the living dead.
They were dead.
They were the living dead. They had no hope.
Barely drugged themselves in there.
They were so spiritually broke. They were so mentally exhausted. They were physically just dead, right? And to fast forward, whether it's they're picking up their 3-month chip, 6-month chip, 1-year chip, 2-year chip, 3-year chip, 4-year chip. That's about how far back I go working in treatment. That's one human being that we got. That's one human being. One guy that's
still alive.
And to be frank, there's quite a few that I know.
Right.
And I'm just, if you're watching this or you're listening to this and you're that person, I love you. And thanks for being one of the ones that was successful.
Right.
You know, working in this job. The reason I'm getting emotional is working in this job. I met with Chris Clayton earlier this week.
You just named a name.
Well, Chris Clayton's a therapist, but, and he said to me, we were talking about my professional past and centers and all the stuff, and I won't get into all that, but he said, Jared, with the way the industry's moving and for your own sake, you really need to get your master's in CMHC or LCSW. He said, because substance abuse specifically will chew you up and spit you out.
That's a good point.
That's tough.
A good point. Listen, that's a giant part of being a therapist is learning how to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Because burnout in this industry is extremely high because it's a burden to watch people you grow fond of who die.
Yeah.
That's a huge burden, and it happens way too often.
Yeah.
And so, half of being a therapist is learning how to leave that stuff at the office, which is really, really, really hard to do.
Yeah. So I think that's why I get so emotional. Like I can see you getting emotional right now too, is because for me, when they say that stuff, it's personal and I have evidence of the contrary. And so it's like, you can't tell me this didn't work for this person and this person and this person and me and you and right.
Here's the point that they don't look at all the time. And I've pointed this out before, but you could, first of all, if you ask a treatment center, its success rates, you can hear numbers all the way from, no one's going to say 1%. No one's ever going to say that.
Sure.
But you can hear numbers somewhere between 10% on the low end, and I've heard 80%. That's BS. Nobody has an 80% success rate in this disease. But a commonly quoted number is 15 to 20%, in that range, right? And people look at that and say, what a failing system that is.
Mm-hmm.
I would offer 2 points. The success rates of people who do it on their own are less than 1%, who say, I'm going to quit and I'm not going to do anything else about it. I'm just going to quit today. Those success rates are less than 1%.
Great point.
You just went from, if you go to treatment, even if the treatment center has a 15% success rate, you went from 1% to 15%. You are 15-fold higher, more likely to be clean and sober in a year and still alive in a year than if you just tried to do it on your own. Yeah. A. B. Those numbers, 15%, right in line with other chronic diseases. If you measure success in diabetes as having your blood sugar between 80 and 120 all the time for a solid year,
right,
those numbers aren't 15%. Right. I mean, they might be close to that, but they're not higher than that.
Yeah.
People don't do that. Hypertension, same thing. If you have to have your blood pressure between 120 and 80, or even 140 and 90, lower than that for a solid year, those success rates are extremely low. They're similar to other chronic diseases, and we want to compare this disease to an acute disease. It ain't. It's a chronic relapsing disease.
Right. Yeah. Well, and some people don't even believe it's a disease, right?
Well, there's that too.
Yeah. Yeah. So that kind of segued into some of these questions. The one being, I've been to rehab 3 times and still relapsed. Am I broken, or is treatment just a scam? You know, I think that, go ahead.
No, I got 2 comments on that.
Yeah, go for
yes it. And yes. Not even, or no and no, either one.
Okay.
The literature shows that the average person that gets and maintains long-term sobriety, it goes to 3 treatment episodes.
That's right where I was going to go.
So if I tell you that going to treatment gives you a 15% chance of being clean and sober, then most people don't get clean on their first one.
Well, and my thought goes to this, because I've seen this, and here's the kiss of death for me, in my opinion. Were those treatment attempts just residential? Because do you know how many clients go just to residential and then they're like, I'm cured. The 30-day cure.
Right.
Listen, the 30-day cure looks great on a book title.
Yep.
I'm telling you right now, it's not realistic.
You don't cure a 20-year disease with 30 days of treatment.
Thank you. So I think part of the failure in treatment success rates, and part of maybe this person's perspective, is, what did you do after residential? Because there's 2-3 other levels of care, right? There's day treatment, which is great for getting back to a job, back acclimating to, anyways, all the stuff. We've covered those, right? Then there's IOP. So how long, here's one of the magic things in treating people is spelled TIME, time. If you just go somewhere for 30 days, 45 days, even 60 days, and that's all you do, you don't have support to integrate back into work. You don't have support to integrate back into your family systems. You don't have support to integrate back into the community. You are at a much higher success rate for failure, or you're at a much higher rate for failure.
Sure.
Statistically, we know the longer you stay in treatment for, the higher your success rate is. The closer we can get you to that year mark, the higher your success rate is going to be to maintain long-term recovery.
Sure.
So that's where my head goes with that question.
So thanks. I want to point out something that actually goes back to the last question, but for sure looks at this question as well. One of the problems with this thing is I firmly believe it's a disease.
Me too.
Which means it's a healthcare issue, which means insurance is involved.
Yep.
One of the reasons there has not been a ton of innovation in the treatment industry, I've been trying to develop an online course to help people get clean and sober that won't go to treatment. Mm-hmm. Insurance isn't going to pay a dime for that. They're not going to pay for it because it's new, and they don't pay for new. There's a lot of innovation is being squelched because insurance companies aren't going to touch it.
Sure.
And listen, you can talk about greedy treatment center owners all you want, and there are some. There's plenty. But it's a business. It has to make a profit or it won't exist next year. If they take a loss, they're not going to exist next year. There's not enough money out there in treatment centers to take losses for a whole year. And then the second thing about kind of what we just talked about, people do better if they can stay in treatment for 60 days than if they stay for 30 days. They do better if they stay for 90 days. They do better if they stay for 90 days and then go to PHP and then go to IOP and then whatever else is next after that. Insurance isn't going to let them stay 90 days in residential plus PHP plus IOP plus sober living plus. It's not, insurance won't do that. And so much of the much of the problem here where we really need longer term treatment just won't be covered by insurance, and it's expensive to go to residential treatment.
And that brings me to a point that I want to make. That's one of the questions. The question was essentially, I can't find it specifically. There were 10 questions I pulled out. And of course, now I'm looking down at my phone. I can't find it. Is what should an individual be looking for in a treatment center? Because some are just for the money. We all know about the Florida, right, body brokering thing. And so there is a dark underbelly when it comes to treatment that's given us a black eye. And the question was essentially, what are the things that I should be looking for in a treatment center? And I wanted to share a cool story. Again, this is a genuine story. It's not because they're a sponsor and not because I work for them, but I literally heard this story and I thought that's so cool. There was an individual that I ran into that went to Wasatch Crest, and she said to me, she said, I went through Wasatch Crest, and when I first started there, I had an insurance policy that somebody else had signed me up for to get me into treatment that I was grateful for. However, when I was in treatment, I wasn't working, and the individual had stopped paying on that policy. And I did the entire stay, right? I did residential, I did outpatient. She said, and nobody once talked to me about insurance. She said, I got done and found out from my loved one who signed me up for an insurance policy that insurance policy had canceled after my residential stay. So this person did day treatment, no cost. IOP, no cost. Aftercare, no cost. And nobody said a word to her about it because they were just knowing that she was doing the right thing.
Right.
And they thought, you know what? Let's
Awesome.
scholarship it. We'll figure out a way to make it work. She has enough stress on her plate. She's a single mom. We're not gonna beat her. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're not gonna try to get blood out of a turnip.
Right.
Essentially, that's one of your sayings.
It's a good one.
And I just thought so one of two things happened. Either billing was so incompetent that they didn't catch it, which I do not believe that's the case, or there was
the very kind of thing that billing is supposed to catch. Right. That's their whole job.
A decision was made.
Right.
Based on that human being, based on her situation. Hey, let's just eat it. Let's do the right thing. And you know what? Let's take the whatever insurance paid. Let's say it's $30,000. Let's take the $30,000 we got for residential, and let's make sure that this person has a chance at getting back to her kids, getting back to her her parents, right? And that honestly, like when she told me that made me emotional because I was like, that's the type of treatment center I want to work for.
Right.
That's super cool.
Right.
So I think to answer that question, I've been talking a real long time. But talk to some people who have been through it. That's why that alumni we talked about earlier is so important. Like, go to an alumni meeting, talk to some people that have been through the program, maybe go up for a day and tour the facility and talk to staff, see the vibe you get.
Right.
Like sometimes we go into this crisis mode where our loved one's in an unsafe space, and we're like, okay, where can we
get
go
them in right now?
Right now, and
they
what's the
get
insurance?
them in the hour.
And who takes our insurance? And some of that's true, but also some of
it's necessary.
Yeah, but also taking some time to really identify: do they take my insurance? Talk to some people, maybe even. I don't know. I would say look on Google, but not a ton of people are like, I was in rehab, right? I had a great, but those are some things that come to my mind. For sure, talk to people that have been there. For sure, even social workers at hospitals are pretty familiar with facilities, right? Because they're referring.
Yeah. The thing is, don't get me wrong here, because there's plenty of greed out there. There's tons of it, right? But the story you just told, there's also plenty of that. You just don't hear it very often.
Yeah. I'm sure
it's, first of all, you don't want to toot your own horn, right? And I'm not saying I've ever done this. I've never owned a treatment center, but treatment centers would love that information to be out there, but they're not going to put it out on the internet that we gave free treatment. But I'll tell you who is on the internet is, I worked for a treatment center in Utah at one point who the patient couldn't pay, and the owner took her title for her car away from her.
Wow.
Which didn't allow her to work either. She was paying him back, and it was slower than he liked, and he had her car repossessed and took the car away from her, and then she couldn't work anymore. There is only two ingredients for greed on this planet, and it is money and humans.
Yeah.
Any place you got humans involved in money, there's a chance for greed, and there is definitely some of that in our treatment industry. But for the most part, most people are doing really good stuff and not publicizing it very much.
Yeah. The other thing that comes to my mind too is like, look into the modalities that they do. Look into, so if I'm, I don't know, if I have a religious perspective, here we go, like culture and religion, right? If religion is important to you, find a treatment center where religion is important. Yeah. Yeah. And is going to respect your practices and your beliefs.
I don't believe that anyone needs to go to a Mormon-based treatment center, but they at least have to have respect for those beliefs. If you're Jewish and they won't let you do any of your stuff, you should go there.
If you're Muslim and there's a Christian-based program, that might not be the best fit for you.
It might
That's
not
what
be,
I'm trying
but
to
if
say.
they'll allow you to do everything you would do normally, it still could be a decent fit for you, as long as it's not maybe you said Christian-based program. A Christian-based program might not be the best for you.
If you're
a program
Muslim
with a bunch of Christians in it where they allow you to practice your religion no matter what it is could still be a decent place for you.
And I would hope in 2025 most places, are practicing cultural norms and differences and things like that.
Right.
So, yeah. This has been fun, Doc.
Well, it's been fun.
Yeah. I feel like if we go much longer, people are just...
It's long. It's been a long one, so we can wrap it up. I could talk for days on stuff like this, but...
one of these times we're going to get to because I really do have a lot of people that have written in questions or feedback or just, hey, I was on your show a couple years ago. I've gotten married, updates from, right. And so one of these times.
Let's just do an update show.
Yeah.
And a listener question show.
Yeah.
But the good news is you have 2 less questions you have to answer now. So
it's true.
We got to 2 of them.
It's true.
Well, thank you. Again, this has been We Do Recover with Jared Miller, episode number 172, mostly about harm reduction. Few listener questions, but if you do have questions, get a hold of us. We've got a website, We Do Recover with Jared Miller. We have a Facebook page. That's probably the easiest way to get a hold of us.
Yes. Facebook.
Just put some stuff on Facebook. We'll answer it.
Absolutely.
We'll do our best. And,
direct message. You can ask a question. Some of the questions I got are just from comments off clips.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. Well, have a great week and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Doc. Love you, buddy.
Okay. See ya.